In his History of the Roman Empire, the early 3rd century senator Cassius Dio lamented how little people knew of the Roman emperors and their business. Everything changed once Augustus had done away with the Republic. After this time, most things that happened began to be kept secret and concealed. Politics became a shady business, riddled with subterfuge and secrecy, conducted between emperors and their associates, men of lower class and dubious morals. It's a common refrain that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. This could hardly ring truer than by turning to the histories of ancient Rome and peeking behind the princeps curtains. Our sources, including Suetonius, Tacitus, and Cassius Dio, about entails of sex and scandal, recorded for posterity with as much zeal as any of the narratives of politics and power. From the sleazy and the sordid to the often downright unpleasant and frequently bizarre, the sex lives of Roman emperors provide us with more than just salacious entertainment. They offer us a window through which historians can begin to make sense of an ancient society. Augustus, the moral Roman emperor. Getting to grips with Rome's first emperor is a tricky endeavor. The ancients themselves recognized it, with the 4th century Emperor Julian even going so far as to label the first princeps a chameleon. Part of Augustus' camouflage was his piety. As Pontifex Maximus, his role was to ensure that the empire retained divine favor and the support of the gods. His vast moral authority was also brought to bear on the lives of the empire's populace through a series of laws introduced in 18 BCE. These leges Iulia were designed, amongst other objectives, to promote healthy, prosperous relationships. The Lex Iulia de Adulteris Coercionis, 17 BCE, punished adultery with banishment, for instance, while the later Lex Papia Poppaea, 9 CE, promoted offspring and penalized celibacy. This was despite the fact that the consuls who introduced the latter legislation, Marcus Papius Mutilus and Quintus Poppaeus Secundus, were themselves unmarried. 2. The ogre on the island, Tiberius at Capri. One of imperial Rome's most formidable generals was also, according to Pliny the Elder, the most unsociable of men. As one of the most reluctant Roman emperors, he rose to power following the death of Augustus in 14 CE. His accession was bungled, with Tiberius attempting to refuse the Senate's offer to take power. Suetonius juxtaposes senators rushing into slavery at Rome, all while Tiberius was attempting to defer to their judgment. An insular man himself, it seems that islands brought the worst out of Tiberius. Removed from the glare of public view, he gave space to his own predilections. First, there was Rhodes. This was in 6 BC and represented something of a premature retirement, the motive for which remains unclear. The embarrassment of his wife's very public promiscuities may have been a factor, with Julia's affairs a poorly kept secret according to Velleius Paterculus. This semi-retirement was not, according to Tacitus, peaceful, giving rein to his secret lasciviousness. However, it was the island of Capri, off the coast of Naples, where Tiberius descended fully into debauchery, earning his reputation as one of the most depraved Roman emperors. Withdrawing from Rome, which he left in the clutches of the Praetorian prefect Sejanus, Tiberius withdrew once again, this time to the Villa Jovis, perched high on the cliffs above the Tyrrhenian Sea. There the recluse allegedly gave free rein to his perversions and cruelties. He acquired a reputation for still fouler depravities that one can hardly bear to tell, claimed Suetonius. To his credit, however, Suetonius bravely recorded the various scandals. This included secret orgies led by experts in deviancies, threesomes, bedrooms decorated with erotic sculptures and paintings, libraries stocked with erotic manuscripts. 3. Caligula, a terrifying Roman emperor. The Emperor Gaius, better known to history as Caligula, was exposed to the cruelties of imperial power from an early age. In 31 BCE, accepted the invitation to join Tiberius on Capri. Eventually, the elderly emperor passed away, with Tacitus suggesting that Macro, the Praetorian prefect, ordered the enfeebled emperor to be smothered. Despite this inauspicious start, Gaius' accession was met with jubilation. His descent from the popular soldier, Germanicus, certainly helped. More importantly, he just wasn't Tiberius. The Jewish philosopher Philo of Alexandria described the effusive joy in his embassy to Gaius all the world, from the rising to the setting sun. All the land rejoiced at the news. Later in the year, however, Gaius fell ill. Something had changed. The emperor was not the man he had been before. As Suetonius described, so much for Caligula as emperor. We must now tell of his careers as a monster. So, what of the monster? The remainder of Caligula's reign was, by all accounts, given over to excesses of greed, of hubris, of violence, and of sex. Suetonius' biography of the emperor reports that the imperial palace was made into a brothel. The emperor's promiscuity reputedly knew no bounds. He respected neither his own chastity nor that of anyone else. 4. Claudius the Cuckold. The exploits of Messalina. The shuffling, stammering, studious figure of Claudius is perhaps not a figure one would associate with sexual scandals. Then again, he probably wasn't what many people had in mind when they imagined an emperor, an image not helped by the heroizing statues erected to him. Nevertheless, emperor he was, the successor to Gaius, picked by the Praetorian prefects in 41 CE, the scene evocatively imagined by Alma Tadema. His love life was also one of contradictions, seemingly dominated by women and a terrible philanderer. He was married 4 times, not including 2 failed betrothals. His marriage to Placia Urgulanilla and Aelia Paetina both ended in divorce, the former for adultery and the latter for politics. His 3rd wife is where the scandals really began. In 38 CE, he married Valeria Messalina, his own cousin, but also the grandniece of Augustus and second cousin of Caligula. 5. Imperial debauchee. Nero. That Claudius was poisoned is the general belief, but by whom is disputed. One of the leading culprits is Agrippina, his 4th and final wife. Suetonius alleges she served poison to him in a dish of mushrooms. Agrippina was likely keen to remove her elderly husband from the frame because his successor was her son Nero. Adopted by his stepfather at the age of 13, he succeeded at 17. Initially popular and wisely advised, the young emperor seems to have rapidly given license to a series of vices. The truth of these scandals is hard to ascertain, and historians must extricate the reality from the salacious slander of the ancient historians. This includes the stories of Nero's tempestuous relationship with his mother. In 59 CE, he had her murdered. The elaborate plot he concocted of drowning her in a shipwreck was bungled, so the emperor had her killed by his freedman Anicetus. Tuon Zion. Peeking behind the curtains into the private lives of the Roman emperors offers an eye-opening experience into the customs, mores, and attitudes of the ancient world. Moreover, they seem to repeat. The tales of promiscuity and rumors of debauchery echo from one bad emperor to the next. Were the salacious stories true? Or did the sexual habits of the princeps become a ready rhetorical tool for historians to create the portraits that serve their own ends? So that's it for today. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button to get all the latest updates.